Watch this. Watch this.
Well, happy Saturday, everyone. We are back Saturday at noon with another edition of the Watch Dawgs. We have an action-packed show today. We will hear from our co-hosts and our guests, but today we're going to talk about invisible equality, MLK versus St. Pat's, and CRT in educational spaces. So let's kick it off by getting introductions from our co-host, and I hope he shares the new name of the network, and then our guest. And so you all take it away.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody? We thank y'all for joining us on this cold Saturday morning. Welcome to the Watch Dawgs. We have a awesome guest with us today. Alderwoman, mayoral candidate, Mr. Gibson Carter, our shero for this city, this county, because you speak in broad terms about everything all over this county and all over the state. So we appreciate you joining us today. We want to give you the chance to tell everybody your platform, talk about everything that's going on. Robert and I will have you on for the first hour, for as long as you want, but at least for the first 30 minutes to an hour, however long. We know that you can talk.
I wonder why.
So when you get started, we know that it's hard to stop you because you're passionate about everything that concerns this community, and we love that. We thank you for all your advocacy. So with that being said, y'all tune in, y'all share, because we want to make sure that this city and this county gets everything that it deserves, because Savannah is the seat of this county. And if everything isn't running right there, then it starts to matriculate down to the other municipalities, and it don't run right. So with that being said, Robert, if you don't have anything to say,
well, I guess you have done the introduction, but we'll jump right in. So, Alderwoman Keisha Gibson Carter, our first topic, which I think you will be able to share a lot about our local issues is invisible equality. And so a lot of times what we have seen across the nation and in some of our politicians is that, people tend to highlight issues when it's important to them, when they're getting all the glitz and glamour and the cameras are on. But when the camera's not on and when they're behind the scenes, they tend to forget about skin color. They tend to forget about their roots. And I'll give you all a personal story why I find this intriguing. So I talked about Dad all the time, and Dad lived in Savannah back when there was a Missouri Avenue. People don't even remember what a Missouri Avenue is. He's over 90. So his father, Crawford Bryant Sr., died when my dad was age 8. And why did he die? He died from heartbreak. How did he get the heartbreak? Well, he was working. They lived in the Great Depression, and they fired him, my grandfather, because they wanted to give his job to a white man, right? And so these issues of inequality and these fake people going behind the scenes and not advocating for us have real implications. And if we bring it down to a local level, Alderwoman Gibson Carter, we know that some of this is going on in Savannah. And as we look at this flyover that goes over MLK for our I-16, they want to remove that. And I've watched the workshop. When they remove it, they don't want to give back to Frogtown and the Black folks that were displaced. They don't want to give back to Black businesses that were shut down and closed. And so if you could share, your feedback on the flyover and how this impacts poverty, inequality, and unfairness in our city.
Thank you so much. Hello, our ATR. Hello to you, Dr. Bryant, and to you, Mr. Hall, and hello to Savannah. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I am so happy to hear you say, Dr. Bryant, that you watched. You didn't hear a news recap. You didn't hear a soundbite, and it's nothing no one told you, but you indicated that you watched the workshop. And I want to encourage all citizens of Savannah to watch these local meetings because they impact your daily lives. Watch our city council meeting and do not exclude your county commission. That's probably the most important government in our county. And so when we are engaging our citizens and when they are plugged in, you get to know firsthand what's going on. And yes, there is a plan to remove the I-16 ramp at Gwinnett Street. Why are we doing that? We are doing it under the guise of reclaiming the old West Broad Street. That's how it was presented to us, reclaiming the old West Broad Street corridor. Well, we know that to reclaim something means to give it back, to take it back to its past state. The past state and the activity that populated those corridors were consistent with bustling Black businesses. It was the Mecca, the Black Mecca for business, if you will. And so is that truly why we are reclaiming the West Side Corridor? Is that truly why we are tearing down the I-16 flyover? Is that really the intent? And there was nothing related to the presentation that came before us on council that acknowledged that. In fact, someone said on the committee that they know that it probably won't be back in its full state. And so when we look at what we are being presented with versus what actually happens, we give consideration to a few things, as I stated on council. The city of Savannah does not have a good track record of inclusion, of equity, and fairness when it comes to economics. And what I want the citizens of Savannah to do is to shift their focus. When we start talking about equity, inclusion, and fairness, let's not simply think about race. Let's think about money. Because you see, you cannot like me because I'm a woman, and you cannot like me because I'm African American. But what you cannot do is not pay me. What you cannot do is deny me access. And so we get caught up in the semantics of these sensational pieces related to race relations in our community without recognizing the fact that we, as a collective, are far more united than we are divided. As neighbors, as co-workers, as students, as colleagues, we connect with each other very well, but it's through failed policy initiatives, it's through inequitable decisions like deciding to cancel MLK Day but go forth with St. Patrick's Day. It's those kinds of decisions that leaders make that polarizes these dynamics as it relates to race. And so, where I'm sitting, nothing matters more than to be able to establish those policies and those initiatives that are going to put people in place where women are paid what they are due, where African Americans are paid what they are due, and where we are treating people who are of our vulnerable communities with rewards that are consistent with economic advancement.
And one of the things that was a big part of that workshop, and you mentioned it, was this flyover, right? And this is the Shinholster flyover that goes over MLK as you're coming off of 516. What are your thoughts about the future of that? We know that land was, as with our indigenous native folks understand, it was taken from Black folk. It was taken from Black residents. It was taken from Black businesses. And people want to, some folks of the other cultures get upset when we talk about that. But the reason you get upset is because you've never had anything taken from you. You never had to see your ancestors suffer and die and become depressed and deal with mental illness because they were attacked and things taken. So all the woman Keisha Gibson Carter, I think a lot of people get upset about your passion because they don't understand that you're out here advocating for folks who have always been disenfranchised in this city. You're advocating for folks when people don't advocate and who should be advocating. And so just share a little bit more about, why does that matter?
That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. When you look at the pieces concerning me, and I want to start to help people understand, whenever you are presented with anything about me, try to dig a little deeper and find out the issue. I don't know if it's my hair, my makeup, my clothes. I don't know what the love affair is, but I wish the love affair was with what I am saying as it relates to the issues. Consider this, Dr. Bryant. On the other side of the ethics complaint that was so sensational, I made the top lead of stories for all 3 stations in the newspaper for like a whole entire week. People who live out of town even knew about this and was calling me. But what people did not know was what were the actions or the inactions that led up to what she was actually saying or trying to get across. And that was an attempt to cheat the city manager search process. Amidst the mayor's maneuvering and attempting to get someone in the rotation who had already been bumped out of the selection process, I very eloquently and passionately acknowledged my frustration toward the process. I didn't curse a council member. I never cursed the mayor. I cursed the process. And so as we move forward, here we are today. I've been in office for 2 years and we have 4 city managers. So why isn't anyone talking about the poor management and leadership where we could not establish a city manager? We went through a course of bringing back a person who had served the organization 20 years ago, Michael Brown. You resurrect this guy, bring him back to do more dirt to the city of Savannah, notwithstanding the cloud of which he exited, which was not ethical, which was not favorable, which violates ultimate ethics and standards where elected officials or a married person should behave themselves. But we bring that individual back, but you judge me harshly because I acknowledge that you were cheating, right? And then let's fast forward to the reprimand. The reprimand, again, Dr. Bryant, when the focus is shifted, when we are majoring in the minor things and we're not focused, understanding that the greatest enemy of direction is confusion. And so we recognize those distractions, those deliberate distractions that come to take us off of our direction. I am advocating for anti-gentrification policies. I'm advocating for inclusionary zoning because right now in the city of Savannah, between November of last year and January of this year, we have approved over 1,000 units presented to us by developers. Developers have petitioned the city council, and the majority on council signed off on developing these units. None are affordable, but we are in an affordable housing crisis. But if we had inclusionary zoning policies, if we had those policies that were consistent with protecting this elderly woman over in the second district, where 4 condominiums have been built, where each of them will sell individually for $750,000 up the street from Blackshear off of Wheaton Street. And this 95-year-old lady's taxes have now increased and she can't afford them. So when I'm making those type of arguments and those kind of points, you have an individual, a Councilman Palumbo sitting next to me, pointing his order and interrupting me. And to know that his interruptions and his consistent rhetoric on council adamantly is opposing to everything that supports African American communities and vulnerable people. And to acknowledge that his behavior and his rhetoric is racist, I get a reprimand in the great state of Georgia, in the United States, in America, as an American citizen who has a right to exercise her judgment via voice. And so I'm subjected to it because they have the majority on council. So it's an unfair advantage. And so, yes, you have these situations where people want to highlight these things related to drama and theatrics because that's what sells. And another point I want to make is that a lot of these things could have been handled in executive session. You know, we could have spared the public from the foolishness, but there was a deliberate intent to embarrass and to cast dispersion upon my worth, upon my service, and my leadership because I call out these things and I make it known in the spaces and the places where it really matters. And so it's beneficial to the establishment and to the majority on council who supports most of these policies that are consistent with tearing us down, like the one with the weeping time. And you seek to silence me.
Well, and I wonder, let's go back to that distraction piece. You know, Donald Trump did it all too well. And I'm wondering if we get little mini Trumps in certain seats on city council. But that what people are doing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the distraction is to use the attacks against you, to use all of these other things to distract the public from what's really going on. You know, from my understanding, SCAD wants to take over and has already taken over most of Montgomery Street. Why is that a problem? You're displacing Black folk who built their homes when they couldn't go other places. And these are hardworking blue-collar families. They want to distract from the chamber who wants to take over MLK and rename it or do whatever they want. But again, to displace Black business. They want to distract from the Kesslers and the putting the people out of Clearview. So in your opinion, what's going on with all these distractions instead of telling the people what's really going on? And that is our communities are not getting any resources. And by the way, they're also being displaced.
Well, there isn't any intent for you to really know what's going on. And what is happening is a plan. This is by design. And if we do not do something about it, in less than 5 to 7 years, we are going to see a Savannah that will not be home of the working class. I don't care if you're Black, white, green, or purple. If you are not of a certain economic status, in 5 to 7 short years, there will be more people living here in Savannah who are not from here than who were born and raised here. And why is that problematic? It's problematic because these individuals who are coming in and purchasing these homes and driving up our real estate It's happening across the nation. Just because it's happening across the nation, should we allow it to happen here in Savannah? The piece that's problematic with that is that most of these individuals are buying these homes as their second homes, as vacation homes, or as Airbnbs. And so we as Savannians, we have to decide, what Savannah do we want to see? I can't tell you the countless number of calls that I get from residents who work hard to maintain their homes in their neighborhoods, to know that their corridor has now turned into what resembles a hotel due to the influx of Airbnbs and bed and breakfast. We want people to be able to generate income via that avenue, but we have to incorporate those policies to assure that there is protection for the neighborhood, as well as responsibility for those business owners to return some benefit to the community when those neighborhoods are disturbed. And so that's the best way I can describe to you. I know that between SCAD, student housing, between Airbnb, the influx of what we are experiencing by way of our tourism industry here in Savannah, affordable housing is nearly becoming obsolete. And when we are approving the petition of developers who are in rapid pace creating these condominiums and these high rises that people, everyday average people, can't afford, we're going to be in a situation where households are going to have to band together and live together.
Well, you know, although
Go ahead.
my problem is, and has always been, the fact that when they focus on you, that they don't, and I've never seen them just focus on you and then focus on what you were talking about. You already hit on it, but that is my biggest problem. How about what caused it? How about what caused the reaction? They never do any in-depth investigations or stories on the root cause of it. What was she arguing about? What was she advocating for? And that's the problem with the media. It is, it's the distraction that so they can get away from the issue at hand and make us forget all about it, talking about bad behavior. It's not bad behavior, it's advocacy. What you're doing is advocating for the people. And see, people don't understand it's a new type of government that we're trying to bring in. It's a new form of government. It's a new form of advocacy, that we want to do things for the people, not the way that it's always been done. And see, and they have a problem with that, the old gods, like this idiot on here right now, Mike Ellis. We know who he is. He's the same guy who brought the thing up on me here in Port Wentworth when I was running for mayor. It's Jody Hawks. We know who he is. He got fake Facebook pages and he get on acting like he okay, but we know who that is. So, they want things to stay like they always have been. They want Port Wentworth to be 1957 Port Wentworth. They want Savannah to be under the control of the status quo. Those that are sitting at the table shall always eat because they'll never get full. It's generational wealth being built for these people. And we have elected the people and put them in office that are against us. We thought that they were with us, but they're against us, and all that has to change. We know that you when you get in there, the tables will be turned over. Those that are full will get their butts up from the table and let somebody else sit down, or it will be a new leaf put in the table. So that's my problem with it.
Yeah, and if I could add, one of the things, Julius, to add to that is, John McMaster's, who's been a county and city leader in his own right, shared a piece with me, and we were talking one day, and it was, you all know this Eastern Wharf piece that's being built on the side of the river, right behind the Marriott. Well, if you just go 20 steps down under the bridge, you got Tent City.
Oh, they can move them after
there
a while,
couldn't be much more of a conflict. Well, I'm going there. So what that tells me is the mayor of Atlanta did what? Kasim Reed did what on Pine Street? He pushed them out. God knows what happened to these people who are the less of us. The Bible talks about that. Guess what this mayor is going to do? Push them away.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Where you gonna push them to? The
There you go.
weeping
I don't
time
know.
problem.
That's the
push them
problem.
to the weeping time problem. I guarantee they'll have tents set up somewhere in West Savannah after a while. But they don't understand the advocacy of these people, of Keisha Gibson Carter, Vanessa Bryant Lanier, and Alicia Miller Blake. They don't understand the advocacy. My problem is with those county commissioners, where their advocacy at, where they should be behind.
Well, you got county commissioners
as one.
You got county commissioners that don't even know the history of Savannah, who tell you when you ask them about what's the historical value of weeping time, and they say, why does it matter? So when you got folks that look like us who don't care about, ignore, and push aside their own history, we're in some very serious trouble. And
I need you telling me that you support the weeping time property and the advocacy that we're doing over there, but then you don't show up with your physical body. You don't show up on the tube giving all that. Hold on. And my problem is that they can get a whole lot done if they show some solidarity, standing up with these other officials who are there. Then things will change. They're not going to just run over all these elected officials because it's a price that comes with it. It's called re-election. So, they just bull BSing us, and we need to do something about it.
Well, here's the thing. For all the Kesslers in the world, for all the city council folk and the county commissioners that are getting kickbacks. Yeah, kickbacks. I said I don't mind saying it. You're not going to do all this behind the scene line if you ain't getting no kickback. So why don't you take that money, at least offer them a meal? Why don't you take that money and help build some real housing? You got the housing over there for the veterans by Blackshear. Why can't we expand that? I remember I went over there to, I think it was Randy's a couple of days ago. You know that land, the piece of land back there? There's plenty of land. It used to be Hitch Village, part of Hitch Village. Mm-hmm. That was my babysitter. So I remember. But don't go give that land to another guy. I guess that's Kessler's land too, huh? But we won't go there. But all this plays into poverty. And we have Alderwoman Keisha Gibson Carter. You know so much, and you're very versed, and you have great ideas. Poverty is attached to crime, mm-hmm. and we still have city leaders and a chief that can't figure it out. The mm-hmm. best we could do is let's blame mommy and daddy. That's not a real solution. Help us understand, how do we alleviate poverty to help alleviate crime?
Well, a lot of the crime that we are experiencing in Savannah is structural, i.e. the failed policy initiatives and failed opportunities we've had to present legislation and adopt legislation. We thereby become culpable as a government in the crime that's so rampant on the streets of Savannah. And what citizens of Savannah should know is that the crime we are experiencing now, the level of crime and the amount of crime, it puts us in a public health crisis situation. We are amidst a crime crisis. And when you are not owning the problem, when you are not verbally articulating what the problem is, and you take to the airways and you just talk about what just happened and the fact that we captured somebody after the fact, we're never going to solve the problem. We're never going to solve the problem until we are honest and acknowledge that we have a huge problem with morale within our police department, which translates to us losing more officers than we are able to recruit. We are not losing these police officers to other departments. We are losing these police officers to waitressing jobs. I met a police officer a couple weeks ago who waited at my table and told me she worked at Metro. She was not fired. She resigned because of the toxic environment. We have to recognize that while police cannot solely stop crime, we cannot, there's a cliche out there. We can't police ourselves out of crime, but guess what? We will never know if we can police our way out of crime here in Savannah if we are understaffed over 100 police officers. And that doesn't include the ones who are on sick leave or who are suspended for whatever reason. And so, Julius, I don't know about you, but when I'm traveling down Abercorn, and if I'm going 37, which is 2 miles over the speed limit, and I see a police car, what am I going to do?
Slow down.
So what
Make
does
sure
that
everything.
translate? What does that translate to? That translates to the fact that a police can stop crime if they're visible. And so there are just 3 neighborhoods in this community where we have had the most shootings in those areas. Now, outside of domestic situations and those scenarios where individuals are solving disputes with a gun, uh, the gun violence and gang violence that we have on the street of Savannah, it becomes a public health issue because bullets don't have names. And when we have babies 13, 14 years old, riddling 50, 60 bullets at a time into homes that are occupied by women and children in cars that are parked, Savannah, we have a problem. And unless leadership is willing and ready to say it out loud and come up with a plan of action, and it may not necessarily solely be transition in leadership at the police department, but there are a litany of ways we can respond. And if we are not taking those measures, if we are not incorporating those measures that are just common basic practices that are employed across the United States, we have our hand in the sand. And while we have our head in the sand, we are going to have more families burying their babies. And that's not something that I want to continue to be a part of. I don't want to continue to be a part of a watch where all we get is a text alert that we've lost another life. And from that text alert where we've lost another life, you get a response like, okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. And as a sitting alderwoman for Post 1 for the city of Savannah, and I still occupy the post, by the way, um, I don't intend to sit silent. And there is a deliberate intent to silence my voice because it's a known fact that if I know it, Savannahans are going to know it.
And if I may add to that, and I was going to be quiet, Julius, but I'm irked a little bit because one of the things that I know, and we've heard about this, is District 5 where I am, and we have an alderwoman who's pretty much dormant, is that we are in a very high crime area. Why do they allow, they being certain people who are in leadership, allow these areas to be riddled with crime? It's because then you can say, oh, they're dangerous, they're scary, we can't go over there, and then guess what they do? People leave. And guess what happens when they leave? Things become vacant. When they become vacant, it becomes regentrified. People, why do these matter? These issues matter. You all can sit here and talk about the 3 alderwomen that go out and advocate, and you may not like the way they advocate. But at the end of the day, a lot of these neighborhoods you see around here are being taken over and allowed to be riddled with crime so that they can regentrify. As I said earlier, SCAD is on their way of taking over the entire Montgomery Street, which is Fowler Park, Tatumville. Those are black families. Those are historic black neighborhoods. And so you can call people what you want. You can allow your neighbors and your white neighbors and all that and to tell you these things. But until you've experienced it and looked at it and watched these elderly black folk lose their homes, don't come talking about nobody when you don't have to live in the struggle.
Well, one of the dynamics, to your point, Dr. Bryant, when you look at who crime is happening to, and you look at who is committing crime in Savannah, most criminal activity, particularly that involving gun violence, happens to African American men and boys. Most of those people committing those crimes are African American men and boys. So again, we have to look at approaching reducing crime in our neighborhood from a multifaceted approach, right? And so why isn't anything being done about it? I submit to you that nothing is being done about it because of who it's happening to, right? If there were any other demographic who were dying on the streets of Savannah at the rate that African American men and boys are dying, we'd be calling the National Guard Armory. We'd be calling President Joe Biden asking for some assistance. But I submit to you that while we have been in this COVID crisis, we have had more African American young boys under the age of 18 die from gun violence on the streets of Savannah than we have COVID. But we're not concerned about that. We want to implement a mask mandate. We want to implement all of these other policies and get people all excited and get their focus shifted. Now, don't get me wrong. COVID is real. The pandemic is real, and we are still in it. But by now, I think we got it. We are a part of a very sophisticated and advanced government. It is needed. It is necessary for us to be able to take care of multiple issues all at one time. We can't be so laser focused on COVID that we lose sight of crime. We can't be so laser focused on COVID that we lose sight of what's going on in this community by way of gentrification, people being pushed out of neighborhoods, Clearview. We can't be so laser focused on COVID and hide behind equitable policies that don't really exist in a task force that is useless, not the people on the task force, I may add, do not mix my words, but in its scope, when you are not engaging the people based on the work that the task force committee members have done, how do you vote to desecrate the weeping time? So again, we cannot keep with this duplicitous behavior, saying one thing and doing another. Stop gaslighting the people. And what I want to say to Savannahans, as I said on a show last night, as citizens of this city, we cannot relegate our basic public safety, our ability to live in harmony in our communities. We cannot relegate that to friendship, relationship, and kinship. This is not a popularity contest. This is really and truly about the life and the legacy that we will hold close or lose here in Savannah. If we keep connecting with people just because we like them, I don't want anybody to like me so much that you don't hold me accountable for my inability to respond to the basic needs of our community.
Julius, I
Awesome.
want you to talk about this opportunity zone that Rebecca Rose brought up and what that means. And I think as you talk about it, I want every viewer to get 5 people and write a letter to Senator Warnock. Do not put opportunity zones in Savannah. But Julius, help us understand that.
Uh, uh, I think you would be the expert on that because on the opportunity, either Rebecca, because of the opportunity zones, I haven't had a chance to find out where they want to put them at.
Well, just
Um,
in general, what are they? You know what I mean?
whether the opportunity zones,
Right, right. Like when an area becomes an opportunity zone, does that just give the government an opportunity, pretty much an opportunity to just come take
well,
over or make
well,
this
no,
place
no,
easier?
it's not in that fashion. The opportunity zones are created for to create businesses in areas that don't have those businesses in the first place. I think
Well, it
they
was
had the
through
hubs before. What do you say, Alderman?
it was through, I believe it was President Trump's administration that he allowed for certain tax subsidies to developers who would go into communities that were
Right.
somewhat marginalized or the economic status of members in the community, as well as dwindling and failing real estate to revive the areas. But via their development, in exchange for them returning to the community some form of a benefit by way of a job or a service or affordable housing, whatever that economic benefit that developer deemed uh, equitable in response in exchange for what he was given, they would get a tax break somehow.
And
Unfortunately,
it's almost like
unfortunately,
what Alderwoman Bryant Lanier wanted to do the um, with the Ivory Bay, with making sure that those companies come in that
and
came
make
in
those
would be
investments.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, and so what we have not done here in Savannah, again, we let these opportunities get ahead of our responsibility to create policies so that when people are taking advantage of these opportunities, they have to adhere to these rules that our government set. Unfortunately, with the rollout of the opportunity zone, there's no real teeth in what those economic advantages these developers should return to the community should look like. They left it up to the communities to establish those policies, right? And so, have we done that here in Savannah? No. Do we even know what we've had developers literally come to us before council seeking approval for their development, where I myself acknowledge you are building in an opportunity zone. What is your benefit? And they don't know what I'm talking about. And so that's just how behind we are. And so, once again, we are foregoing opportunity to the community. Take, for example, with this impact fee ordinance I presented to council that's finally going to see a little bit of light and get over the hurdle. Well, there's so much missed opportunity. You know, an impact fee is not a tax on the citizens who currently live in the neighborhood. It's a fee that developers will pay that will make sure that when you start creating another subdivision in the Highlands, guess what? We want to make sure that you are also offering recreation services, a park, library, police department, fire department. That entire community at Highlands has one fire department, no police department. And so, how fair is that to the people who first moved out there when there was only 4 or 5 subdivisions? Now we got 10, 12, 13, 20 of them out there. And so when we are not availing ourselves to opportunities in real time to make sure we're taking care of these people, when we're not forecasting, and when we are allowing those who are takers to take all and not pay their fair share, this is what we get.
And that was I was
You
about
you
to
get
say.
you get you get bottlenecks of the people can't even drop their kids off in carpool because of the traffic. And we don't have enough police officers to go out there and help with the traffic. We have to. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say what Ivan said here that uh, the opportunity zones are the descendants of those enterprise zones or enterprise hubs that, from back in the day when they used to incentivize businesses to come into poor neighborhoods and start businesses and pay them. And I wasn't up on the opportunity zones, but I guess it's just exactly what it says. It means just what it says, and the enterprise zones also.
Well,
Same thing, benefits only those rich people that come in, put businesses in our areas, and you can see it all over the city of Savannah now, with businesses that pollute and don't do anything for the neighborhoods.
so it sounds like we need to be writing Warnock, and everybody on here get 10 people to write Warnock. No opportunity zones. Right, Senator Warnock. No opportunity zones in Savannah. Period. Until we can get good policy that gives us a framework of how to do this. Otherwise, every every neighborhood from Liberty City to Cloverdale to Tatumville will be wiped out, and every black business will be disenfranchised. So no opportunity zones, Senator Warnock. Let's write these letters.
But because you
Let's
know
write
what
these
they're
letters.
going to do,
Hey,
they're going to tear down buildings to make room, buy all the land. It's a regentification, gentrification going to start everywhere in the city. When you don't have any way to build, what you got to do, you got to buy property, tear it down, and build what you want to build in those opportunity zones or those enterprise hubs back in the day, like they used to be. But
yeah.
that's just part of the problem. Also, they're going to slowly move you out, 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 and then there's no way we can't afford the um, the homes, the rent, and they pollute. They come in with more traffic into the neighborhoods, and there's no incentive for us to have those enterprise zones in our neighborhoods because they don't do anything for us. People come from all over
Yeah,
everywhere else to work at these places.
yeah. And one of the things Rebecca just posted, I would love for us to go to the Metropolitan Planning Commission. Everybody in the city of Savannah should go to Google, type in Metropolitan City of Savannah Metropolitan Planning Commission, look in the 2040 plan, but look at all the other things that they have in the MPC. So these are the things, these distractions that they have with the attacks on the alderwoman and all this other mess are to distract you from the real facts. If you go to the MPC website, you'd be floored to look at the master plan that wipes out a lot of the things I've already told you. Take my word for it, or you can go look for yourself. But if we could get back to the fees, one of the things that we have is a special pending local option sales tax plots. And it alarms me that I understand, and this is just something that floored me, that certain older women in certain districts like ours in District 5 did not advocate for splash funds to do projects in this area, much less than even cared about anything, I guess, because they didn't get kickbacks. What does SPLOST do, and why is it that certain areas are left out and certain areas are left in?
Well, it depends on who you have at the table advocating for you. Take, for example, with the last SPLOS, that's where the arena project was birthed, right? The single largest construction project in the history of Savannah, 165 million SPLOS dollars allocated to that area. Um, that's the first district. That's the district of the that was the last district of the current mayor. And so here we go with this novel idea of an arena. I support having a new arena in Savannah. I just don't support it in its current location. How is it that we can, you have a set of leaders at that time, can sit at the table knowing that the drainage issues, the flooding issues in Cloverdale, Carver Village, and Brickyard is what it is? How is it that you can utilize and budget for and allocate $165 million, 19 million of those dollars going into dirt and grass for a parking pad, and not give a hill of beans about the pre-existing conditions that exist just 2 blocks up the street? Like, how do you do that? So when you have individuals who sit at the table and they're not advocating, you can say you are advocating, but if you're not being vocal about it, the only way we get half of what we get done, because we have been closed out and locked out of the agenda process for passing legislation on our council. The only reason we get a third of what we get done is because we come to you, we come to the public. And so the member in the 5th district and the former alderman for the 1st district, Van Johnson, they could have very well have been telling the public, they had the same access that we have today, what was really going on. But when you look on paper and you see that the friends of the previous administration are now the financial friends of this current majority on council, then you see why we're not really getting anything done in those districts. But now that I've put out this acknowledgement that I will be running for mayor, I guarantee you, anything y'all want, you better start asking for it, because you will get it. My
So it
announcement
sounds to
and
me,
my arrival at this time is going to signal an infusement. The community will now be infused with opportunity after opportunity. Little league football coaches, y'all ask for some more money. Nonprofit organizations, we help you to get 100% of your dollars. You'll probably get 200%. You'll get what you didn't ask for. You can have whatever you like. How does the song go? You can have whatever you like, right? Because we have exposed them. And I threw a monkey wrench out there by acknowledging that I'm going to run for mayor.
and so it seems to me, and now people can see why you're so passionate. When you get all this in your face, and you got folk that look like you on council but act like they don't look like you for whatever reason, and it's only 3 people advocating for the least of those, and you keep seeing them keep being disfranchised, and you keep seeing resources passing by, and you just keep seeing all of this a heartache. Now people can see why you have frustration and passion
Yes.
instead of going out there and listening to people who don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
If I had all this in front of me and I'm the only one here digging the ditch, I'd be pissed off too. So, Julius, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is with what Melinda is saying here about Cloverdale does not receive sufficient county information. We don't have representation. The thing is, on this platform, Melinda, we will be calling out uh, uh, your leaders that don't do what they need to do. Especially, it doesn't matter if they're our friends or what. And most of these people are our friends. Most of these people we voted for because we thought that they were the best candidate, but then they get in and they don't do anything. Your representative for the county is my friend. I admire him. But when you're doing things to the detriment of my community, I cannot support you. And I will not support you unless you start standing up. If we're not voting for any damn body anymore that don't stand up and advocate for the people, that's out. Don't even call me. That's out. If you're not advocating for the people, we don't need you and we don't want you. And we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that you don't be in that position. You
Well,
got to
the thing
stand up.
is, the thing with that, Julius, is this important that we make this point, and I'm glad you said that. We don't have a crystal ball. Unfortunately, you all would have never guessed. You would have never guessed that the group of council persons who entered this office in 2019 and subsequent in 2020, November of 2019 and December of 2019. No one would have ever guessed things would have resulted in what we have now. I truly believe that most of us who were entering politics for the first time came in with a spirit of altruism, minus Mayor Johnson and minus Stella Shabazz, because they knew exactly what they were doing. But for us who were political novice, if you will, I truly believe even those who oppose me on council now came in with the intent to do the right thing. They wanted to make a change. They wanted to respond to the call and to the mandate that was a sweeping indictment when almost all of the council members were voted out. But in short order, when you enter this arena, if you are not able to resist the payouts from the establishment, if you're not able to resist the madness of the media that feeds your ego, if you are a person who is already of little substance, you will find it very, very difficult to resist being snuffed out by the real council of Savannah. And that's the invisible people who you don't see. And some people call them the puppet masters, right? And so my tagline when I ran for office was not for sale. I can't tell you exactly where that came from, except for just one morning I woke up and thought, oh, that's yes. I did not imagine how much that would really mean in how I conduct myself on council today. There is no amount of money, there is no opportunity, there aren't any dinners, any rides in private jets, any invitations to the Christmas parties and the galas. I don't want any of that. I came to public office as a servant, not a politician. I worked for 25 years on the front lines of the worst hurt that this community has to offer, from victims of rape and child molestation, victims of domestic violence, homeless families with children, youth who were members of gangs, and seniors who were nutrition insecure. There is no way, after seeing that level of hurt, lack, and pain, that I could come to this stage and turn my back on opportunity where I now have a chance to work proactively to solve those problems I was reacting to. I can proactively impact that work through policy change, through initiatives where we are shifting the coffers of the city of Savannah to have a heartbeat and investing less than flesh and blood. And so, why those people forgot from whence they came, I don't know. And so, what do we tell the voters? Do we tell them not to vote again? Do we tell them to give up on us? No. What they have to do, Julius, you have to, as a political advocate and as a person who run campaigns, you do have to continue to vet your candidates and see what they have done in the past. Because in politics, more than face recognition and name recognition, people want to have talent recognition. They want to know what your investment has been in the community previous to you running, right? And so you bring that person in, and we all get behind that individual and we shepherd them over the finish line, only for them to fall foul. What do you do then, voters? You continue to engage. The reason why our council's majority has run amok on opportunity for progressive and aggressive ideas and opportunities is because they're not being held accountable. They're being held up by their friends and by their fans. But unless and until those friends and fans stop telling them what they want to hear and tell them what they need to hear, we're going to have a set of dynamics that really give us what we have now. And that's nothing. You ask yourself, citizen of Savannah, what has changed since we have been in office versus what was going on in the previous administration? I submit to you, we essentially took the baton from the previous administration and they are running with it now. And that's the God honest truth.
There's no difference in the last administration and this
Right.
one. At least we knew they were going to do it to us. And this one, they fooled us. And you're right. We got to vet these candidates a whole lot better. One thing, and I was just telling my wife, one thing that I'm going to start doing. I learned something from Charlie Brown back in the day. He told me he don't deal with campaign managers. He only deals with the candidate. I'm not going to deal with campaign managers. If I can't deal with the candidate themselves, unless it's a national, if it's one of those national campaigns where I can't get to that candidate. But locally, you got to deal with me and me only. I'm not calling your campaign manager. I don't want to talk to. Don't call me. And that goes for everybody. If I can't talk to the candidate to tell them what I need them to do or what needs to be done, you can't talk to me no more. I need to see whether you're genuine, whether you're going to do what you need to do to advocate for the people. I'm 60 years old. I ain't got time for this no more. I don't. I don't. I got to rectify all the things that I think need to be rectified from my 60 years on this earth. So if I got another 40, then that's what I'll fight trying to do. But I'm not playing with these people no more.
Yeah. John McMaster said something about Savannah pure politics. John, that's Curtis Purdy. It's fine. It's off. But listen. This is not my first rodeo. I'm not moved by those behaviors in the least. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me and asking, am I okay? It's so horrible what is happening. This is what I signed up for. What people should know is you did not send me to a Miss Congeniality contest. I'm not in a beauty pageant here. Under that gold dome is an underbelly of an experience that you would not imagine. These people don't play fair and they don't play nice. And so when I am in battle, because that's essentially what it becomes, warfare, when I am in battle, I don't look at this. I told somebody the other day, y'all sent me to a gunfight with a butter knife. So, you know, I can't fight like a girl. I can't fight like a girl, y'all. I gotta whoop them like a man.
Listen, as
You
we
do.
kind of think, but you talk about we talked a lot about being bamboozled, and if we shift gears a little bit, across the nation, we are seeing the number of cities that have both MLK celebrations and St. Patrick's Day celebrations. But it amuses me. Well, not amuses me, but it confuses me as why is it such an issue? And I get COVID. I get COVID. I get COVID. I just planned a major MLK celebration and we made some modifications. So, with that said, modifications can be made. But in cities like our city here in Savannah, we much rather cancel MLK, but we find a way to make St. Patrick's Day work. And we're proud of that. So again, it's another opportunity where I'm seeing it don't matter about the black folk just as long as we take care of the other folk. Y'all help me understand that.
Well, before you answer that, other woman, I had somebody to tell me that they were having a little trouble with what was happening at City Hall, and they said that uh, you fight, but you need to do it a little bit more classier, and you were right. I had to tell that person off. I don't. I get this sometimes, but when they finally realize what I tell them, then they say, oh, because see, they listening to all the bull, the BS all around from people saying who might be Van fans or something. That when somebody's advocating for you, you don't you don't you don't go against that advocacy that they're doing to help you. When if a wife is being beaten, and I was a police officer for 10 years, we used to have cases where we go to the house, the husband and the wife fighting. The man done beat the wife all up. We go to take the man to jail, the wife jumping on us.
Hmm.
We there to help her. She jumping on us. See, some people just don't want no help. Some people want to be in the condition that they're in. But I understand your fight. I understand your passion because you're trying to help people. Everything that I've seen you do, everything that they claim you've done has never been about you. I looked into it. I see it. Everything that you have championed have been for the people. And why these people can't see this? What are they, idiots? I mean, what y'all looking at? This woman is fighting for you. It ain't about big business. It ain't about her pockets. It ain't about no lifestyle. She's fighting for you. She's advocating for you every day. And if y'all black women don't understand that, y'all got a problem. When somebody's fighting for you, talking about you want to be classy. No, you be classy and go vote. You be classy and register people and call a friend and take them to the voting booths. That's where class started. You want to do something for your community? Help her. Help her.
Well,
I
to
mean,
your point, Julius, about the a piece related to domestic violence. You talking about my work now, but the example you gave, when we look at why that dynamic exists when a battered woman doesn't leave the abuser, we have to look at the matter a little deeper than the actual fight, right? And that's when we start to understand why people look at what we're doing on council the way that they do. Um, Leaving or disconnecting from a person who you like, who you care about, in the instance of a domestic violence situation, who you love. That person could be paying your bills, that person could be your lifeline, and you just sincerely love the individual. And in the African American community, when it comes to women and their mates, even amidst challenging situations where the police are concerned, that sister doesn't want to be that sister to take the black man down. So we have that dynamic, right? Then we have the element where there may be some strong connection to that individual emotionally, financially, psychologically, whatever the case may be. And then we have the extra added element when children are involved. So when we look at the correlations of those dynamics and we match that with why people act and behave the way that they do with regard to their judgment when it comes to their favorite politician, um, they're connected to that person for a reason. You know, we are so quick to put our faith in people, especially in politicians, because it's easier. One, you have people who don't even understand this world. I appreciate the fact when people tell me that they had never known as much about local government and politics until we got to the table, because we are able to frame the narrative and regurgitate the information in a manner in which everyday people can understand it. But not only do we do it in a way that they can understand it, we do it where we make them feel like they are a part of it. And so when people have put their faith in that politician who has gone awry or who goes south or who the police have to come and you got to take him out of here, they get upset because now who am I going to put my I have cake on my face. This was the man. This was the champion. This was the one that was going to take me over the finish line. I was on the winning team. Do you know what it feels like to be on a losing team? Do you know what it feels like to be with a winner and then you have a losing season? I know, you know, as a Blue Jacket, you as a Wolverine, Robert, are you a Bulldog?
Oh my God, no, one's the forest. So you're not right.
Okay, so
That's
we
a
Mom
get
and
it,
Dad have
Julius.
bulldogs though.
Julius, you and I get it. We've been winners all
Mom
our life.
didn't get it.
Blue Jackets and the Wolverines. But the Knights and the Warriors, the Knights and the
Teray,
Warriors,
Teray.
you know, when we so do y'all get it now? So when you have all of your faith in the Knights and all of your faith in the Warriors, and we rah 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 rah, y'all, you know that tiny winning streak they had, that little tiny winning streak,
Teray, let
and
me
then
sing you the
all of a sudden we losing. But guess what? You're losing, but you're still a warrior. You're losing, but you're still a knight. But does your alliance to being a knight, does your alliance to being a warrior matter to the detriment of your life, of your health, of your safety? And that's why the Blue Jackets and the Wolverines can always hold their head up high.
Well, I do have
Y'all got it?
I have a
You're
Blue Jacket in
absolutely
the
right.
family.
That was a
Hopefully
great
she'll
club.
join the she was a basketball
I'm
player.
sorry.
She'll be going.
I'm
Y'all
She'll
should
be.
sorry.
ready.
We
I'm
got a Blue
sorry for
Jacket coming
acting
on
like
to Ebony.
Jamal.
That's what we got a
I'm
Blue
sorry.
Jacket coming on Thursday to Ebony Sports, so that's all right. You get a
I'm
pass
sorry. I'm sorry for acting like Jamal. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
today. But no, let's jump back on that MLK thing because I haven't said it's gonna be in July. My response is y'all can keep that. Dr.
Yeah,
King
for
birthday
real.
one in July. That's just like saying that's like Dr. King saying we're gonna postpone the civil rights movement till next year. That don't make no sense to me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
dumb. I said
yeah.
it.
We just had a police shooting just now, but we're gonna wait till 2 years from now to protest about it. Yeah. That's
Right.
delayed justice. Um,
Well, they've
I
been
got a problem with people blindly supporting things and just going by what um, not being connected to the community. And I let's take Warnock for instance. He's from here. He's from here, but he doesn't know anything about here no more. He only knows about what's in Atlanta. That's where he's been the better part of his life. He
or
grew
what
up
certain
here.
people tell him, like this mayor. This mayor, you got to
Exactly. That's
understand,
what I'm
they have
getting to.
closed those meetings.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm getting to. But he has to
Mm-hmm.
understand. He don't know the what how the wheel is turning now. He doesn't know the dynamics of what's going on and the chemistry now that's being developed in this in this county. So if the mayor calls him and asks him for something, then he's going to write some phony form letter saying he supports it, which he probably don't if he talks to the people. You got to be connected, especially from where you come from. You got to be connected. And it's got to be outside of the elected officials. You got to have the pulse of the community, the pulse of the people. And then you can do things and say, well, let me get back with you and investigate that. What the hell you going to move that flyover for? And what did Shinholster carry his sorry self there talking about? I'm sorry,
Don't be
Alderwoman, we
nice.
call names here. Talking about moving the flyover with his brother's name on it. He wants it torn down. Because of what? What is the good reason to tear that
Well, but
flyover?
here's the concession. Well, here's the concession. And this is, let me back up because I don't want all the women to get a little bit of water. But here's the mess that went down, y'all. And you call me what you want, but you call me racist, but you can't. A black person can't be racist. We ain't gonna go about that. But I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna talk very, very plain to y'all. You got a board of all white folk. Now we're gonna say it's 10 white folk and you got one black folk. Makes no sense to me, but hey, it's called tokenism. It is what it is. So what the concession was, we're gonna get rid of the bypass, the overhang, the whatever. And we're gonna rename, since your brother's name's not on the bridge anymore, we're gonna create a park for that. See how that just worked out? Mm-hmm. Now, if it's my brother, sounds good to me, right? The problem became when you don't realize that your brothers and sisters that own businesses on MLK, your brothers and sisters that were displaced from Frogtown many years ago, they're not benefiting from that. So it goes back to what the alderwoman said. You now are taking a kickback, a buyout, a bag of cash, but your brothers and sisters are being displaced. That don't work for me. So in that deal, I don't blame him for saying, okay, my brother will still be honored as he should. However, you're gonna still take care of my people. See, that's how you got to stand firm. What we have now are people that say, oh, let me get the bag and get what I can get and run. That's called trash on the floor. When you are a real advocate, when you are a real leader, when you are really rooted in what you understand, and when you honor your ancestors, no amount of money can buy you.
Right.
The least of those, I'm gonna keep going back to that. When you understand the history of MLK, when you understand who got that road named that, Reverend Benny Mitchell, when you understand what Weeping Town was, you understand that the money is owned by the chamber, and then you just handing over the deed of your people. That makes no sense to me. And that's why the passion comes from the older women we see. That's why that passion comes, because you get tired of seeing your people getting thrown around like bobbleheads. That ain't cool.
Well, and the other side of it is it's just very difficult to sit at the table where you see that resources are plentiful and to see that there is no real reason outside of just sheer selfishness and evilness that we do not do what's right by the people. You know, again, I did not come here for gain. I did not come here to be strategic and to maneuver. You know, what good is it to have to collaborate, negotiate, and bargain for trade-offs when we're all concerned about homelessness? I don't have anything to trade with you. I can't collaborate with you when I'm just want to get people off the street. Affordable housing. What negotiations? I don't have friends who are developers or contractors. I'm not trying to get anybody I know a contract. I just want to make sure that we are establishing affordable housing opportunities for our people. Crime reduction. What network? We don't need a network to reduce crime. We're either going to reduce it as a collective whole, as a body, or we're not. And so when you look at those basic things, most of what we need here in our local government, it is not gender oriented. It is not race oriented. It is not party affiliation oriented. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, male, female. When you want your trash picked up, you want your trash picked up on the day it's supposed to be picked up, almost at the time. When you drive down the street, you don't want potholes. You don't want potholes ruining your car. When you go to sleep at night, you don't want somebody breaking into your home. And so it's about services. It's about services in your tax dollars. And the level of wasteful spending we witness and experience within our local government, it is a great injustice. between the bad real estate deals and
Hey, let's go to this.
the advancing of individuals who don't deserve to be in certain positions, but they're making six figures over people who have more education and more experience and more talent, then we can talk about some equity and fairness. Again, remember, don't get caught up in black and white when we start talking about equity and fairness. Y'all start talking about the money.
That's right, because our black people are selling us out faster than anything. What about
Yes.
this right here, Miss
So
Gibson
you're a
Carter?
bully. You're a bully. You're a whole bully. How dare you go down there and
Well,
bully them grown people, them grown folk?
well, you
Men.
okay? So, but again, I don't get caught up in. They can call me. This is not my first rodeo, y'all, and so God prepares you and equips you for where He sends you. And clearly, He has done just that, because when I tell you that I am unmovable, unshaken, and unconcerned about anything anybody says about my person, because at the end of the day, I know who I am. And so let's look at the word bully. What is a bully? And it's important for us to define what a bully is, because we have our children who often get accused of being bullied or being a bully, right? We have to recognize that to be a bully, certain thresholds have to be met. Behavior has to behavior has to happen consistently, and you have to tell the person who is doing something to you to stop. That's the first element that has to be met. The second element is bullying involves a dynamic of power and control. A person who doesn't have control can't bully a person who has the control.
That's correct.
I may be paraphrasing the
No, I get
definition,
what you're saying.
but go and read what bullying is. And so
But
when we have people who are irresponsible and just throwing out terms and calling names, if we're going to revert to calling names, that's again,
well,
it's a game that I don't play. I stay focused, people. Stay focused.
at the end of the day, if they knew parliament, I ain't gonna say no names. If they knew parliamentary procedure, then how could you be bullying? So what that tells me that person's incompetent. But I'm
Yeah,
gonna leave that alone.
that's correct, because they're the bullies. They have power. You can't A bully can't bully somebody who has power over them or more control than they do. How the hell you gonna bully me and I'm the one that's in control? I'm the one that's running things, and you gonna bully me? All I gotta do is just ignore you. There's
Right.
nothing you
And
can do
so
to
and
me.
so what we have to do when we have these situations where, especially involving children, where there's a concern that somebody may be bullied, we have to, as parents, take our kids aside and teach them what, right? We have to teach them how to problem solve. And how do you problem solve? You work things out, you talk things out. I have talked more to you within the last hour than I have Van Johnson the whole time I've been in office,
That's
because
amazing.
we don't have an opportunity to communicate and talk. We get talked at and talked about. That's not what a good leader does, right? And as a leader of organizations for over 15 years, one thing for certain and two things for sure: any and everybody who has ever worked for me, whether that individual was coming from the private sector, the nonprofit sector, the military, or the corporate sector, no one, no one can go on record and say that Keisha Gibson Carter, as their manager or as their director — I never allow my staff to call me their boss — they cannot say that I did not treat them fairly and allow them to do their job. And never once have I ever had a person who I supervise go to my bosses, which often were boards of directors, and say I treated them indifferently or I treated them poorly. And that's something that I can stand on and that I'm so proud of, because that's what true leaders do. They give the people they work with and work around the tools that they need to do their jobs, and they get out of the way and let them do it and treat them fairly. That's what good leaders do.
But
Yeah,
what I
because
would
he
love to
doesn't
see,
care. He doesn't care anything about a legacy that he'll leave. All he cares about is what he's doing for those people that will champion his reelection. Everybody thinks that he's going to some next level. Van isn't fit for the next level yet. Van is very smart. but he doesn't know how to communicate with people that don't kiss his butt.
Well, and that's
You
fine. But
know,
what we want to do, Julius, is we want to keep our focus on the issues. And when we start focusing on the person and their clearly something's wrong, right? Clearly something went wrong real bad, real fast,
Well,
and went south. And so
well,
again, we have to rise above all of that. And we have to get our citizens in position to do exactly what those little league coaches did. We got to get them to mobilize and demand that they get a return on the tax dollars that they put into this community, that we return those investments back into the programs and the activities that they engage in with our youth so that we are backdooring our way into averting crime and violence on our streets.
and you're exactly right. And I'll do that when you're off camera. Um,
listen, let me say this real quick. I think what we need too, we've got to get an organization, NAACP, somebody who will do a report card on the work of every elected official,
Mm.
and this is at a state level, local level, whatever. What and grade it and show the people, the voters, who's doing what. You made a great comment. I think was I can't remember. I think it was your special report, but you said, and I agree with you. It's they have spent more time. Check this out, voters. You got council people have spent more time attacking one person, this woman here, instead of going out to listen to their constituents, more time attacking this woman instead of really going out there and looking at the roads and doing real work. So that shows you right there, the folks who are attacking you need to get an F, because I ain't seen nobody bring no legislation forward. But what I've seen you do is create programs. What I've seen you do is get the people together, organize to make sure neighborhoods are clean to avoid regentrification. I've seen you do that. I would love for the others to come on. You have a full invite to come. Tell me what you've done. Tell me what you've done other than sit there and spend time figuring out how to attack somebody and taking money from the chamber.
I haven't seen man it's clever in the wrong way. I got to have you on this campaign writing team here, man. Good Lord, this man he is awesome. He's borderline brilliant.
Yeah, I would say leave borderline off. He's there. He's there. He's there. But
You'll
you
touch
know,
behind
guys,
anything.
I'm good. I'm good. You know, we want to go forth in this next season, focusing on reducing wasteful spending or getting rid of it altogether with the city of Savannah. We want to make sure that we are incorporating those equitable policies that are consistent with first treating people fair through economic advantage. Making sure that we are representative of the change that we want to see. And what does equity and equality and fairness mean to our bottom line in Savannah? Well, in my mind, when I think about equity, I'm not thinking about taking pictures of multiracial or different races and putting it on the website. I'm not thinking about pulling together a Hispanic task force or a task force for Asian people or a task force for equity. That's not my thought. When I think about equity, fairness, and inclusion, I think about holding the accountable, the powerful accountable. I think about having our external partners who are the winners in this community, who are the giants in this community, Georgia Ports Authority, Savannah College of Art and Design, our tourism industry. I think about bringing them to the table and helping them understand what true equity means as it relates to economic advantage. And then we won't have to worry about who's on first, who's on second, and who's on third. We
That's
won't
right.
have to hide behind the pretentious marketing materials that give us an illusion that we are a diverse community when we are abusive financially. I want to restore hope to our police officers, those police officers who we expect to protect and serve our communities and our neighborhoods. I want to make sure that we are doing everything possible as leaders of this administration to protect and serve our police officers. We want to make sure that our city staff is healthy. We want to make sure that we are aligning ourselves with the style of government that we are chartered by, and that is a council manager form of government. That means we give the city manager the tools that he or she needs to do their job, get out of the way, and let them take care of our staff, make them healthy, make them whole, and make them feel excited about their work. You know why that's important? That's important because your services will be delivered right. Your trash can is not going to be just thrown across your yard when they come and pick it up, because that sanitation worker is going to be happy because he is paid and his boss isn't a tyrant, right? You know, that's the type of leader we want to lead the people of Savannah. And then we want to make sure when it comes to things like property taxes and the millage rate, we are returning back to the citizens of Savannah every chance we get through opportunities to roll back the millage rate, as opposed to keeping it the same in a pandemic, which resulted in people's taxes being raised. We want to make sure that we are focusing on those unique opportunities through uh, efforts like impact fees, so that we're protecting newly established neighborhoods. And then we want to make sure that we are incorporating policies that will forego gentrification, so that we are protecting the seniors in these neighborhoods that have been living there for decades and that they're not being priced out and closed out. And ultimately, we want to make sure we're taking care of our future. We have to take care of our children. The children are the future of Savannah. We have parents who are sending their kids off to school out of the city, and we have them matriculating at universities and colleges in the city. The chances that your children will stay here in Savannah are slim to none. One, they won't be able to get the pay necessary to live here. So they're going to leave here where they can get paid and where they can get adequate housing.
Well, and you talk about the children. Funny, you. This is a great segue to one of our other topics, and that is this idea of critical race theory. But I don't want to talk about critical race theory with you all. I want to talk about this new thing that's coming up across the nation that's being ignited in Florida. So, Georgia, you're next. When you think about your children going to school, whether it be K-12 or college or whatever, and they want to take race out of school. And we know when we came up, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Apparently, black folk never did anything. The white race was the great American dream, and they were going to make America great again. So when we think about this idea in Florida, they want to take race, gender discussions completely out of schools. What does that mean, and how does that impact our future?
Well, I think it means that the only thing that they'll be able to teach is math. How the hell else can they teach anything? They can't teach anything but math if they take those things out. The only subject that race, gender, and sex doesn't touch is math. So I guess everybody just gonna be some math whiz from now on in Florida. Must be
But
crazy.
what bothers me is, it interests me that we are supposed to ignore everything about our heritage. We are supposed to ignore that really most inventions were by what? Black folk. We're supposed to ignore that the White House, many of our buildings that we walk in, many of the streets that we walk down were done on the backs and blood of our ancestors. We're supposed to ignore the fact that River Street, those little openings, is where our people were held and caged. We're supposed to ignore the fact that weeping time exists. We're supposed to ignore the fact that Cloverdale, Liberty City, District 5 was built on the backs of blue collar workers when they couldn't go anywhere else in the city. We're supposed to forget that we exist. How y'all feel about that?
I told you what I felt about it. It's crazy because they don't want us to teach anything that is relevant about this country because they say that their kids will be made to feel a certain way, and they don't want them to feel uncomfortable growing up and feeling like they're guilty of something. Well, the truth hurts. They're not guilty of anything, but their ancestors are. If you're going to teach history, teach all history, not some history. And if you're not going to talk about who invented the internet, who invented the red light, who invented peanut butter, who did the first open heart surgery. If you're not going to talk about these things, then don't talk about nothing. We don't want to hear about Facebook and Microsoft and Amazon. We know about these people. So I don't know. You don't want to get me started
Well,
on
here's the thing. You talk about discomfort. I wonder if Trayvon was discomfort. I wonder if George Floyd was uncomfortable. I wonder if that slave that got beat by a whip was uncomfortable. I wonder if Emmett Till was uncomfortable. I wonder if that man, that woman who fell off at the top of the Capitol building, it was uncomfortable. I wonder if these servants that were in the movie The Help were uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe they were comfortable. I don't know, y'all. It amazes me, Judas, that this narrative of ignore your culture, accept our culture. Let's talk about indigenous folks. I wonder if they were uncomfortable when you took their land. I wonder if people now are uncomfortable when you want to reclaim their land and regentrify it. So see, we're gonna be real about it. We're gonna be real about it.
We're gonna let the good.
I think you need a Representative Howard Hall on that conversation. Because it's a real issue. It's certainly a topic that we have to start discussing. But while they are trying to figure it out, I think parents need to start working it out in their homes and recognize the need to start some of this education early and often at home. I mean, we see the results of what we have subjected our children to over the years by, only by accepting African American history once a week or 1 week out of the year or 1 month out of the year, so it's something that we certainly have to keep challenging and advocating for in terms of fairness there. But we also have to use this as an opportunity to say, what precludes me from doing this in my home?
Correct. Or in the neighborhood centers. We in our communities, we could teach these kids just like they get on the internet and everything else. We can have classes at these gyms that we're building all over the city now.
Mm-hmm.
But Alderwoman Gibson Carter, Dr. Tanya Howard Hall is free to come on your show and talk about that subject anytime you invite her.
Okay.
She's probably looking at me crazy now. And we know that
we gotta let her go. We gotta let her go
over your time.
Yeah.
You kept me out over my time on America After Dark last night. That's why I'm fading right now.
No, I haven't.
I'm tired. ATR has been wearing me out.
Why you suffer that setup? That was a setup. I tried to tell you.
She did great. She had Bernard crying real tears.
Oh, well, listen, ATR has been good to me. We appreciate your platform and thank you for allowing me to give a different side to what's being aired and put out there. Dr. Bryant, I appreciate your words of encouragement and I'm excited for your future as well. And Mr. Hall, we just thank you for cracking the whip. He's rhyming like I'm in the Belmont. So
and we're gonna ride this horse all the way. Look, we're gonna ride the White House. We're gonna ride that horse all the way to East Bay.
At least Jay Jones ain't involved today. We're good to go.
Gonna ride it too. He can't ride no more.
Mr. J got a little piece of me too there. Well, listen, guys.
Mr. J now. Okay.
Or was it Jimmy J? Who was it I interviewed with?
Jimmy Trey, he every J.
J. Rue.
Alderwoman, any last closing words, and you can take yourself out after you give us your parting words.
I just want to say I love you, Savannah, and I'm here as your Alderwoman at large for Post 1 still. Some people think that the when the council voted to remove me from the chair of council, that I somehow got voted out of office. And that is as far from the truth as can be. The people of Savannah sent me to the seat, over 11,500 of them. And I suspect that they and a handful more will get me over my next hurdle. And so we are encouraged and I'm looking forward to my future.
Can you do your closing line? Why worry about the chairman? What?
I'm gonna put it up.
We're going to leave it alone.
I'm going to put it up. But listen, Who cares about the chair when I'm going to be the mayor? You
Yeah,
know,
come on now.
hey, you know what's so strange about it? And my wife, you know, she always saying she gets these things all the time, and she said, well, according to the policies and the charter or whatever, the city charter of Savannah, they can't even put nobody else in the chair. So why remove you from some
Right,
position that was non-functional anyway?
right.
You
Well,
know,
see, and so thank you so much for bringing that up. So when you see that particular element, that alone, Julius, that alone says it all. By virtue of the charter, these roles, and the other dynamic to add is that um, we never function in the role of chair, vice chair, and I forget what the other one is. It's mayor pro tem, right? Mayor Pro Tem probably is the one that has been most utilized since we've been on council, and that is that person steps in when the mayor is out. There's been a couple of times when Van has left council meetings a few minutes early or stepped out during the meeting, and Estella takes on the show and carries on. And she may have made a couple appearances on his behalf at functions or funerals, so to speak, right? The chair and vice chair have done nothing. When I questioned the city attorney about the dynamics of what was going on and the behaviors of these individuals, where he himself acknowledged that this maneuvering is just an attack. He characterized their behaviors as attacks. So I said, what does this mean? And he said to me, Alderwoman, to tell you the truth, I didn't even know these positions existed until y'all took office. It's not like I'm losing a stipend for the chair. I didn't get paid for it. It was just a title. In addition, as the chair, I am the recipient of all of the lawsuits against the city of Savannah. So thank you, Jesus. All the civil attorneys out there, newsflash, don't send them to me anymore. I'm no longer
Well,
the
here,
chair. If you
well, here's
can
the thing.
imagine how stressful it is with your name being named in a lawsuit, every
Well,
time
here's
you
the
turn
thing.
around. And
If
so,
you,
uh, not only do you have that element, but the fact that you now are so hell bent on embarrassing me, discrediting me, and casting dispersion upon my service and my worth and value to the council, you would rather just not have the position occupied. And
well,
neither of you probably even knew that I was a chair of council. I never wore a
well,
T-shirt that said chair of council. It's not on my Facebook page. It's nowhere. It may be on the city website, I think. I don't give a hill of beans about the chair, y'all.
not when you're
I,
going to
I,
be mayor.
well, here's the thing. If
I,
you, here's the thing. If you were such a bully, then none of this would have never happened.
well, exactly,
Exactly. They couldn't have did
exactly.
it. That's right.
And y'all run back and tell them I said it.
Exactly. And so and again, all of this, they could have very well have done what they did via email. They could have done it via snail mail. They could have done it in executive session where we are supposed to handle personnel matters. But no, not only did you have to do it during a live public broadcast council meeting, after you called all of your news buddies, because you could see the buildup. The camera people who were in the chambers, as soon as we got close to that item, all the cameras were pointed at me. It was as if there was a rehearsal of sorts. You did it because you intentionally wanted to embarrass me. And then you add the extra element of theatrics by going to the board. How many times have we gone to the board on a vote? Of all of the votes we took during that last council meeting, we didn't go to the vote board for any other reason except for item number 22. And so, again, it's the childish, petty games that are
It's
played.
distraction.
And we,
Distraction.
yes, and if those council members who engaged in this behavior, if it wasn't enough for you to feel the pain of the parents who have lost children, if it wasn't enough for you to feel the struggle of people who can't pay their rent, and who are being evicted from their homes, if it's not enough for you to feel the need of a homeless person who is on the streets in this inclement weather, and this is the best that you all could do. Like I said, the city of Savannah, you will have to be the judge. You will
Well,
have to be the judge.
they always say follow the money. I said, and this is public record. I want everybody to go out and pull every person in council and county commission, see who donated. Follow the money, see who donated and at what levels. Yeah. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
it's out there. It's public
Right.
record.
Right.
That's all you got to do. And then
Yep.
when you see who gave what to who, you're going to see what loyalty lies.
We want to let you go because you'll be
Yeah,
here and have us running over time. Because Robert, when he goes to talking, I just want you to do something for me tomorrow. Vote,
What is that?
Kansas City Chiefs, man. Chiefs. The
This,
Chiefs. The
this
Chiefs.
is
The
not
Chiefs.
Thursday evening. This is not Thursday evening.
The game is tomorrow. It'll be too late. Tanya
Tanya,
said she get to call you, Alderwoman Gibson Carter,
Okay.
and we'll get with you after a while.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
I really appreciate y'all.
Get your popcorn because we coming. All right.
Thank y'all. I really appreciate you.
We're good to have you now.
All right.
Goodbye, Savannah. I love you.
All right, so we got about 5 more minutes, and then we can head on out of here. But great show today, folks. Everybody's been chatting, and we can go back through some of the chats. But I agree with you, Melinda, that some folk got to go. But I do want you all to go out. Julius, where can they go pull contribution records? Is it the Secretary of State's office?
Where we can pull what?
Contribution, where people have donated to certain people.
Well, you can go, if it's for the city, you can go to the city clerk's office.
Yeah.
They have to file it with the city clerk also.
Yeah. Pull open records.
Board of election for everybody else.
Yeah, look into their personal nonprofits too.
And you should be able to get it on online if it's filed with the state. It shows you everybody.
But the thing is, and people say this all the time, and I've heard this, well, be careful, because you're going to run for something, you don't want to make anybody angry. I don't care about making anybody angry. Because if you don't stand for the value, well, here's the thing. If you don't stand for the values I stand for, which is protecting our people and our communities, I don't need your help no way.
That's correct.
I can guarantee you this.
You don't need to see if you can't get enough people to understand.
At the end of the day, when I ran for PAC, I had no endorsement from a city leader in this city. Okay? Yeah. But guess what? We came with the 3% of striking with a bare bones budget. So at the end of the day, this ain't human work, this God work. And when you understand that, you don't worry about all that noise.
Yeah. Some people are just after they like celebrities. They like to follow people who they think are in the it. I don't need you to follow me. I'd rather not be here on this doing this. I'd rather just give the information. Somebody else could give it out. It's not about me. It ain't gonna never be about me. That I've never been that person. Ask anybody that really know me. I'm never born to be in the spotlight. But what we have to do is bring attention to people like you, Robert, to people, to have people understand that this is where the fight starts and ends. This person will fight for you no matter what. People like Keisha Gibson Carter, fight. They fight for you. You don't see her, Alicia Blakely, Bernetta Lanier trying to do anything but advocate for the community. What y'all see, I don't. These people who, if you don't like Keisha, Alicia, Bernetta, and Tanya Howard, I don't know what the hell you can like. Because
historically,
only for the people. Go ahead, Robert.
Historically, when Black women show authority and push back, they label an angry Black person problematic, divisive, all of that. No. What do you all call it when a white male does it? Normal? Yeah. That ain't real to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And some people might not like my language, but it is real. It's happening for how many years? So you know what? We've gotten so indoctrinated with slavery that we still think is right for certain populations to do and act a certain way. This ain't the help. These women can go down and advocate, and if you don't like the advocacy, don't watch them.
Yeah. Donald Trump can act like a fool, and it's okay. Everybody in his administration can ignore the law. forget about policy.
So go tap
Treat
the
people
Capitol.
any way they want. And it's okay. But then when you have somebody that's fighting for you, y'all show me one time where Keisha, Alicia, or Bernetta was doing anything for the benefit of themselves.
Right.
And then I will say you're right. Show it to me. It didn't happen. These women fight for the community. They fight for the people. And what y'all looking at or listening to from some cronies or somebody else, look into it for yourself.
Well, that's what people are taught to believe. Look at Malcolm and Dr. King, and people don't realize this. People hated Malcolm. The government made people hate Malcolm. The government made black folk hate Malcolm. But Martin was more gentle and all that, but guess what? They killed both of them. But at the end of the day, you couldn't have a Martin without a Malcolm, and you couldn't have a Malcolm without a Martin. So you better be quiet, because if you can't bring them solutions, then be quiet. My thing is this. The only complaint I have is that we don't have more people who got the nuts to do what they're doing.
Exactly. And, my wife brought an observation to the forefront that people, and y'all look at it. Most people would probably think my wife is the bougie type. But she's all for the people. She just for the people. She's on the side of these women because she know what it is to be an elected official woman trying to fight to change things for the people. She said, what people need to understand is this. It's not about the what. You got to start looking into the why. Start with the why.
Yeah.
Start with the why. Why is Keisha doing this? Why is Bernetta doing this? Why is Alicia doing this? Why is Tanya Howard Hall doing this? Why? And everybody, if you could start saying the why. The why. Don't worry about the what. What happened? Why did it happen? Investigate that. Bring the news to the people. The mainstream media does not care about our communities. So they're not going to investigate the why. All they care about is the what.
And
every
you know what?
time, what? We got to get to the why. So
we got to start doing some serious pushback too. And so with that, I'm gonna say this. We talked a lot today, and this I'm gonna tie this all together. Give me 2 minutes here. We talked a lot about disenfranchisement, how our children are being told not to learn their history, how we're supposed to ignore our history and ourselves. And so next week they're going to open on the 5th. They're going to open that Mark Arena. I'm asking all of us to boycott it, boycott attending that opening. And I'm gonna tell you why. So that means now again, here's another piece that we're missing. The MLK, the Martin Luther King Arena, not only is the parade not going to happen, but now we're supposed to ignore the whole legacy of Dr. King in the city of Savannah. So let's boycott the arena. You want to name it something else? Fine. So next week, why don't we all take a chance to educate our children in our communities about the importance of Blackness, about the importance of Dr. King? Why don't we focus on that? So let's start doing some serious, real pushback. Do not have your families spread the word. And I know I'll get in trouble for this, but guess what? Good trouble is good trouble. Do not attend that opening at the Mark Arena.
Savannah is an anti-boycott city, Robert.
Hey, we got to start somewhere. We got to stop saying. My thing is, we will defeat ourselves before we even try. So if you really care about the business, we got to do it.
No, I'm with you 100%. What I'm saying is these people do not stand up to protest anything. And if they do, it's for 1 minute because they don't have time. We don't think that the issues of the people are important. That's the problem within the Black community. They have divided us for so long that we feel like if there's any unity, something is wrong.
Well, that's how they're able to get away with the stuff that's been happening. Is that for far too long, again, it's chipping away. One of my vice president at work told me, you just keep chipping away till you get what you want. And guess what? Sooner or later, we're going to lose Fowler Park. Sooner or later, we're going to lose Silver Terrence. Sooner or later, we're going to lose MLK because they just keep chipping away. So we're going to keep being silent. I mean, I personally won't. I'm going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to stand for what I stand. And I do not stand for the fact that you're going to wipe out a whole culture but for the on the backs of the chamber and the money. That don't make sense to me, and I'm not gonna stand for it.
Well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank y'all for your responses. Make sure y'all share it with your people. Just go on, click on share, and share it with all your friends. More options and go to friends. Share it with people. We need to get this message out. We can't do this by ourselves.
That's right.
Oh, RHIP, race has its privileges, especially white privilege. That's correct.
Well,
And the things we're
when we don't
saying,
understand, and that's true because we don't understand principle. You know what I'm saying? We understand the Christmas tree and all of that, and the lights and the glitz and the glamour. We don't understand principle, and we're going to continue to repeat history until we understand principle. But with
that's
that, we'll
correct.
see y'all next week. Any final, I guess, your final comments?
Well, I'm gonna leave on what Ivan Cohen said. Ivan, you need to really just come be a damn host because you're so right on point on all these things. 3 types of groups: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wondered what happened. You know, and you got to be part of the group that make things happen. Um, um, you know, we appreciate everybody that watches because y'all are making things happen. Y'all are part of what we're trying to do here, and we appreciate everything. Every time that y'all click on and watch
That one,
because
right?
y'all tell somebody else. What I haven't said, I'm doing the
That's
selective
true.
buying
That's
campaign.
the perfect comment. That's principle. That's standing on principle. At the end of the day, I love it. I think it's a beautiful facility. But the principle behind the matter is what we got to stand for in unity. Do what you want to do. It's everybody's an adult here, but it's the principle of it. I know we got to go, but it's like the Voting Rights Act. I can go vote for Manchin again if I'm in West Virginia. But the principle of the fact is that he didn't support voting rights, so why would I vote for him?
Yeah.
Oh, because
The
he's
only
good.
the only problem I have with the arena is this. Um, I know we don't want it to fail because we done spent $165 million putting it there. We don't want it to fail. But we do need, like John said earlier, in 2006, it was brought as infrastructure for the community, but it ended up being um, a tourist attraction for downtown to flourish. Um, and so we don't want it to fail because when we change the administration in about 21 months, and it's going to be changed. Bank your money right here. It's going to be changed. Call me if you don't think it is, then hedge your bet. It's going to be changed. I want them to be able to go in with something that they can work with. Nothing that is failing. They can if you got 4 years to do what you got to do to turn everything around and make that beneficial for that community, then that's what they need to do. But we don't want it to fail. It's in a community where we don't
Okay.
want it
The
to
arena
fail.
is what it is. The arena is what it is. I don't want it to fail, but I don't want the neighborhoods around it to fail. What's happening
Correct.
is that arena was placed strategically to wipe out those communities. That overpass they're talking about is going to connect that MLK corridor to that arena. That's going to be people that look like you and I wiped out. That's what's happening. So while I don't want the arena to fail, if we don't start standing on principle, this kind of stuff is going to continue. And,
But we
and
have
we
to
can't
have
keep giving passes. We can't keep giving passes because it's all cute and all that. Great, then move it.
but we got to have the people of those neighborhoods come stand with us, Robert.
I agree,
We don't
but we're
need to
not.
be we don't need to be in Port Wentworth, Pooler, Bloomingdale, Garden City, Tybee Island, coming to advocate for somebody who ain't gonna stand up for their damn self. Those people in those
I
neighborhoods
agree.
need to get out and come to the arena also. They're the ones that are affected most. I'm not gonna come fight your bully for you if you're not gonna fight with me.
That's it. That's it.
That's what Keisha, Alicia, and Burnett are doing. They're fighting the
That's it.
bullies. Then they get turned around, called the bully. How you gonna bully
Right,
somebody
right.
that
There you
has
go.
more power than you?
Yeah.
So we just got to have the people to come out and help them do what is needed. Cloverdale will, Melinda Gwen, awesome. Then that's what we need to do. We tell the truth here. We thank you, Ms. Byers, the most
We
truthful local
did good
show.
today.
We try to do our best with getting the information out. We just need y'all to go in and share it so everybody can see it and hear it. I know we're a little long today. We took 2 hours because we knew we had the other woman coming on and we know she could talk. And she probably cussed me now. But anyway, we appreciate you, especially you, Ivan Cohen. I need to call you this week. And we'll see y'all next Saturday. Don't forget to tune in to Unity Action Political Committee with Dr. Reverend Pastor Leonard Small tonight at 6 p.m. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say. 6 o'clock, Pastor Small's Unity Action Political Committee. 6 o'clock. Don't forget. All right?
All right. You're going to take us on out. See y'all next week.
I'll see y'all next week on this same platform. I don't know who we got. Robert will tell you. All right.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.